just become present. You've made a choice to be here tonight. Give this time of 1 hour to explore something special, something deep, something meaningful. And so I think it's important to just be focused on that. And especially when we are exploring a very important topic of healing. All of us need healing right now, no matter who we are and what we are. So just allow yourself to sit down for a few minutes, be comfortable, relaxed, and just be. Just be present. If nothing else, just notice your breath. If you want to close your eyes and notice your breath. And it's an amazing thing, this natural process of breathing. When you notice your breath and its rhythm inside your physical body, you notice its soft, gentle energy. And this softness, in a way, infiltrates the whole of your physical being. But actually, together with the physical being, it's also affecting your spirit. And actually, when you notice this calmness in your body, you also become aware of the calmness inside yourself. And in a sense, this becomes the platform on which you can fly. Of course, it's not physical flying. It is as if the mind becomes free to let go of all that it ties it down. And in a sense, your horizons open. And somehow your mind becomes expanded. And your heart becomes rested. And really, this in itself is a sense of healing. Nothing else distracts you. You're able to be still. You're able to be present. You're able to feel restful. Come back to noticing your breath again. And notice its deeper softness. And its rhythm, its energy and vibration. Fill the whole of your being. Thank you. Om Shanti. Meditation, or the impact of meditation on inner healing. And as I started to explore this idea today, I began to see that the way in which I live my life is very much affected by the way which I live myself inside myself. And in a sense, you can't separate these two aspects of our lives. Whatever it is that we think and feel inside ourselves, we reflect that outside. We reflect that outside through the way in which we interact, through the way in which we express ourselves, whether it's expressing ourselves through the words that we speak, or whether it's the way in which we do something, we perceive something, whether it's the way in which you think of something, and the way in which you perceive what happens around you even. So really these two worlds are not separate. And in a sense, what we are beginning to do when we think about meditation as a process of healing or a method of healing, it's healing both of these aspects of our lives. It's not just about inner healing, and it's not just about external healing. It's because, and what is it that we're trying to heal inside ourselves? What is it that we're trying to heal when we say that we want to heal our inner being? We're wanting to heal those aspects inside ourselves that cause us pain, the aspects that cause us suffering, the aspects that cause us disappointment, anger, frustration, dislike, displeasure. All of these are aspects that need healing. And yet we also have to acknowledge that all of these emotions and feelings that we've arrived at them over a period of time, knowing all of these things that have happened. And so it's not a question of suppressing these feelings, nor is it a question of denying these feelings, nor is it a question of distracting ourselves from these feelings, these emotions that we feel. But it's very much about being present in those emotions that we feel, and know that as we understand them, as we recognize these emotions, then we use the power, we use the ability that we gain through the practice of meditation to go through them, but actually also reduce the impact of those emotions. Situations and circumstances will always come that we don't have power over, in the sense that we can't organize our lives in such a way that nothing untoward comes our way. And sometimes we try to do that. We do try to organize our lives in such a way that everything runs smoothly, everyone behaves in the way that we want them to behave. But in the process, we get even more frustrated and upset and angry. And when I'm angry, it's not that I'm angry at other people. Actually, when I'm angry at my own self often, for not being able to understand somebody else's thoughts and feelings. And so really, whilst meditation has become a very fashionable thing to do this day and age, there is much more than a practice of fashion. It's become much more mainstream, and there are so many different aspects of meditation. People use meditation as a method of relaxation. People use meditation as an escape even. People use meditation also as a method of transformation of their personality traits. And then people also use meditation as a way of healing. And as Rishika mentioned, healing is a journey. It takes time. why it is that we end up getting frustrated even with meditation is that we think that magic can happen. I meditate for a day or two or a week or a month, and everything changes. Well, not quite. We begin to see the value of it, but there isn't the entire change that has to take place. And my sense is that if I really want to experience healing, meditation has to become a way of life. It's not something that I do half an hour a day, an hour a day, or 2 hours a day, or even 4 hours a day. But my experiences of meditation, my practice of meditation, has to go into the way in which I think, the way in which I do things. When that happens, I begin to see the changes that occur. And it's those changes then actually reverberate back inside my own self and give me a taste of a different way of being. So, how do you begin to address meditation or take meditation at a level which allows that healing to take place? And I think that there are, as I said, there is a cognitive transformation that has to happen, in a sense that I have to recognize that I have to do things differently physically in order to experience a process of change take place inside my own self. Equally, I have to experience a change in my consciousness in order to live differently. In other words, physically express myself differently. And so both these things are necessary. My pain and sorrow and suffering is not just something that happens in my head. It happens when when something gets said, something gets done, something that gets expressed externally outside of me, and I experience those sensations through my physical body. And as I experience those physical sensations through my physical body, then I'm not able to separate between what I feel inside my mind and in my heart and what I feel within my body. Scientists do research, or not just do, but they neuroscientists and all different forms of science actually talks about how when we experience something, experiences come through our physical body, and then those then we're experiencing inside ourselves. Today, I happened to accidentally actually come through a TED talk in which her name was Dr. Joan Rosenberg, and she was talking about how when you experience discomfort, or when you experience pain and sorrow, you first of all experience it in your body, and then you experience it in your emotion. But it happens so quick that you don't catch it when it happens in your emotion, in your physical body. And instead of denying that experience, go into that experience, acknowledge that experience, and then consciously and deliberately, as we acknowledge an experience in our physical body and in our mind and our heart, then we can also change the direction of that emotion. But I want to talk about this aspect whereby what is the process of meditation? When we first begin to meditate, then I think that the first thing that has to happen is I need to begin to reflect. Reflection is a first step into meditation. Nowadays, there is mindfulness, and mindfulness is a form of meditation. And yes, mindfulness talks about allowing ourselves to be present in the moment, allowing ourselves to be here and now, and observe what's going on around us and be with what's going on around us. And that is a first step into meditation, I feel. And I think it's also a form of reflection where I stop to observe what's happening. And as I observe what's happening around me, I begin to notice things that I hadn't noticed before. And in noticing, I begin to kind of have a more objective relationship with it. And I think the important thing about meditation also is that it teaches us to build a relationship with everything instead of being so absorbed in what's happening around us. And so I was seeing that my first step into meditation is where I sit, I become quiet, I begin to reflect. Meditation is not to stop thinking. And sometimes people think that meditation means stop thinking, I should be able to do it instantly, but it is not quite like that. Actually, observe, reflect, and watch your thoughts. Observe your thoughts. Observe the quality of your thoughts. Observe the quality of your feelings. Observe the speed at which with thoughts come. And so first step into meditation is a reflection. And you can just see that as you reflect, you automatically slow down. And in the process of reflection, you begin to observe your own mind and observe your thoughts, observe your breath even. And as I introduced in our meditation, as you observe your breath, you notice the energy of your breath. You know, how often do we stop to do this in our daily lives? Even for me, when I meditate early in the morning, yes, I might do that. But throughout the day, I have every intention of doing it. And I create methods to remember now. But it's just so easy to forget that process. And so the first step into meditation, I become quiet, I become reflective. It's not enough. This is not going to allow healing to take place. And those emotions that I talked about, those emotions are so deeply ingrained within our minds and our hearts, it takes the slightest situation to trigger off those emotions, and they come to the surface. And really, those emotions, those unpleasant emotions, are deeply buried in our within ourselves, which we often call subconscious mind or unconscious mind. And our unconscious mind is really, in a sense, working away inside ourselves, and we don't even realize it. So if I want to heal that, I first of all have to create a pace of mind and a pace of a way of being which allows me to slow down. And that's just begins to become the first step into meditation that allows me to slow down. And reflection helps me slow down. And then having when I slow down, then I begin to use that ability of reflection to pay attention to something. And this is both in terms of when I'm sitting down in meditation, because what the state at which I want to arrive at is when I am so deeply and intently in the experience of a deeper connection within my own self, to such an extent that as if I'm replacing my old emotions that are deeply buried inside me with my new experiences of meditation. And you know, at this point, I would say, when we say meditation, all sorts of connotations of meditations come to the surface. But I was thinking that meditation in which I'm able to tap into that deeper aspect of myself, of the spiritual self, whose intrinsic nature is that of peace, whose intrinsic nature is that of love, whose intrinsic nature is that of joy. The only time that I begin to experience a state of healing is when I tap into those deeper experiences. And so meditation is just a preparation. But ultimately, I want to get to a deeper place of practice and a way of being, which I actually call remembrance. If I tell you that, we teach you meditation, all sorts of things will come up. You'll say to me, okay, tell me the technique, tell me the methods, tell me the step 1, the step 2, the step 3. And I can tell you those. But ultimately, what I really want to get to is a place inside myself where I am absolutely and completely in a state of familiarity with who I truly am and what I truly am. When we begin to understand the awareness, or begin to understand that I am a spiritual being, I saw in your leaflet that actually that's how it was positioned, that I am a spiritual being. And as such, peace is my nature. Then the premise with which we're asking you to go inside yourself is that you are already that. You are already peace. You are already love. You are already joy. A deep practice of meditation that allows healing to take place is the meditation, is the remembrance of the original state of the human spirit. Reflection, contemplation, meditation, all of those take us into a deeper state of awareness and practice. And then we get to a place of remembrance where I just become aware of who I am. I am already the essence of peace. I am already the essence of love. I am already joy. But because we live, our inner state of being is so based on what's happening outside of us that our inner world becomes influenced by what is happening outside of us. And our inner world becomes the same as our outer world. But actually, when I'm thinking and I'm working from this place, then it is our job as human spirits to influence what's happening outside of us. It's not quite the other way around. When I'm in a full awareness of myself as the one that is influencing or is creating a vibration and energy, and therefore transforming what's happening outside of me, then I no longer allow the external to influence me inside. Now, I'm aware that I'm talking as if it's just so easy. I'm talking as if it's going to happen just like that. But this remembrance, if I can only get to this place where I say, actually, when I'm sitting down to meditate, I'm sitting down to get into a place of remembrance, remembrance of who I really am. When I'm getting to that place of slowing down my thoughts, slowing down and becoming conscious of my deeper inner state of being. And it's this remembrance that ultimately transforms into what we call yoga. Yoga means yoke, a union, a connection. And this union and connection is with the highest and the most powerful, supreme energy. The energy with whom I have an eternal relationship. So, practice of meditation is one thing, practice of remembrance is something else, and yoga is another deeper level of practice. When I'm in yoga, when I'm in union, when I'm in connection with that highest source of peace, the ocean of peace, the ocean of love, the ocean of unconditional love. That is when real healing takes place inside I, the soul, the spiritual being. Up until that point, it's actually whatever form of meditation I do. Up until that point is preparation to get to that place of yoga and union and connection. So remembrance is an important aspect. Remembrance of myself is an important aspect of that practice. Because it's only when I arrive at that recognition of who I truly am that I can make a connection with that pure unconditional energy, where I begin to recognize that actually I'm completely in resonance, or I create the resonance inside myself between I and that supreme energy, that supreme being, with who is my eternal parent, my eternal guide, my eternal friend, my internal teacher. And it's that connection, that relationship. In a sense, there is a transference of energy taking place. And that connection is so deep that I'm overwhelmed and overpowered with pure unconditional love. And that is, and then when I spend time in an extended way in that awareness or in that state of being where I'm completely in union and in connection with that source, then in actual fact, I'm in a very powerful state that's been remembered in India in the ancient times as a state of tapasya, a state of intense meditation over a prolonged period of time. And I say prolonged period in a sense that in one particular sitting of meditation, you could get through all of these phases and you arrive at that deeper connection. And you could sit for hours and hours and hours, but it doesn't have to be hours and hours. It could be however long it is. But that state of deep connection, you don't lose it. Each time you sit in meditation, you pick up where you left off. So you go through all the processes that I've just described, but you quickly get into that phase of what we call tapasya, intense state of connection. And in that intense state of connection, you experience a deeper state of belonging, and it's as if the soul becomes cleansed. And why is it that it's called tapasya? It's called tapasya because it is, tap means fire, and fire cleanses. Fire destroys things, but it cleanses. Fire is that element which separates gold from its and the alloy that is mixed within it. That's how intense it is. And so a deepest state of healing of the soul is when there is this recognition. So one is a feeling of being cleansed, but the other is the feeling of separation between the true self, the true deepest spiritual self, from this acquired self, this layers and layers of experiences of negativity or pain and sorrow and suffering, I begin to realize that this is not who I am. My pain and sorrow and suffering is not who I am, but it's an accumulative experiences over a long period of time that I have held on to. Experiences of pain, experiences of negativity that I've held on to them over a long period of time, that it's no longer possible for me to separate my true self from those temporary experiences over a period of time that I've taken ownership of. And in a sense, I consider those experiences to be who I am. And so this is a very profound state. And this state, I think I myself experienced this state one of the first times I sat in meditation. And it wasn't, like I wasn't sitting in this some fancy place out in nature that was an amazing place. I was sitting in a terraced house, simple house of somebody, and meditating for the first time in any formal setting or situation. And in that moment, I had this incredible experience of deep joy that made me realize this is who I am and this is what I want more of. That when I get more of, when I continue to endeavor to have more of, then my inner world becomes a place of sanctity. My inner world becomes a sacred place. My inner world becomes a place of resource. My inner world becomes a place in which I am able to retreat and experience a state of beauty and truth. And that one experience made me feel that that is what I want again and again and again. And it was that experience that actually allowed me to experience and explore rather meditation in a deeper way. Then I realized that I want to experience this as a way of life. And then my other experiences of meditation started to happen so incredibly fast that it was as if I used to find myself in another dimension for months and months when I first began my practice of meditation. And and often people have different experiences when they start this. Sometimes they feel emotional. They sometimes feel overwhelmed with joy. Sometimes there is this as if the heart becomes kind of heavy even to some extent, but it's not a heaviness that weighs you down, but it's a heaviness that kind of makes you feel like you're seeing something, you're recognizing something that you want to be free from. And for me, the experience was kind of going into a realm of light in such a way that that I was feeling deeply emotional, but that emotion was cleaning me out. But that doesn't mean that I was fully and completely cleansed during that time. I think that experience lasted for my first 9 months of practice of meditation. And then as time went on, I had to work a bit hard at my practice of meditation. And of course, I continued to do that. But that, when we really start to pay attention to that deeper attention, then we begin to see that what it really takes. But actually, I think it's a beautiful journey, and I enjoy this journey in which each time I have a deeper experience, I have a revelation. I have a revelation about myself. So sometimes it's a revelation which it's seeing an aspect of myself that I hadn't seen before. That was a hindrance to going to that place of healing, in the place of love and a place of peace inside myself. So, I suppose my main message for you tonight is that meditation is just the beginning. Meditation, take up reflection, take up contemplation, take up meditation, and allow and see these stages in a particular meditation, but even in your life. Begin to reflect more, begin to tap into your inner world more, begin to see the resources that lies inside your own self, begin to see the power of those resources that actually make you feel um, uh, make you see that there is more to you than the superficial reactions that you find yourself in. And of course, we also have to pay attention to our behavior externally. In a sense, when I first started meditation and I discovered that peace is the intrinsic nature of the human spirit, then I had to keep reminding every time. And I still do when I might lose it, then I have to tell myself, okay, just remember, you're a peaceful soul. Don't say this, don't do this, don't react in this way. I still have to remind myself. And so I think this cognitively start to do things differently in an external way also. But be more mindful about what you're seeing. Do you see glass half full or do you see glass half empty? This is a deliberate practice which helps to go inside ourselves and to experience some sort of healing as well. So when I see someone, is my vision intrinsic instantly negative, or can I give someone the benefit of the doubt? Do I judge people on the basis of what I see externally, or do I sense something deeper? So these are also practices that allow us to experience going inside ourselves, so that when we do begin to sit down for meditation, then we can actually, in a particular sitting, experience healing as well. So this is a very powerful subject that each one must go inside and experience. Silence has to become a way of life. It's something that I'm practicing for my own self in order to experience healing. In that, don't allow your mind to run away with itself. Thinking about tomorrow, thinking about other people, thinking about the past, thinking about the future. If I keep doing that, then I'm not um, being present. I'm not going inside to stop. And it's like I'm constantly running a race. And this doesn't help me. This doesn't help my practice of remembrance. Doesn't help my practice of yoga. Doesn't help my practice of tapasya. And we have to make sure that and I'm saying to all of these things to you, these are practices that all of us who've taken up meditation as a way of life. But I feel that these are just as important. I could tell you superficial things about healing, but I think that I wouldn't be being honest if I'm doing that, because I think that these aspects are important for all of us. So anyway, I'm going to stop here because we want to have time for some meditation, and we also want to have an opportunity to see if you'd like to ask anything or comment about anything. So let's just have a few minutes of reflection. Maybe we reach contemplation and meditation, or even a state of remembrance. So just as at the beginning, just sit down quietly. Sit in a comfortable position so that you don't become distracted by the discomfort of your body. It's important to be able to be still. If you're used to closing your eyes, close your eyes, no problem. But if you are used to meditating with your eyes open, you can look down in one place, or you look at the screen in front of you. Perhaps through the exchange of the eyes, we can share vibrations with each other. Allow yourself to notice that as you become still, you notice the atmosphere of stillness around you. And your body becomes quiet and still. And you begin to observe your breath. Take a few deep breaths and exhale. Because as you focus on your breath, your mind too becomes focused and concentrated and free from distractions of other thoughts. Notice the rise and fall of your body. As you breathe in and breathe out. But also notice the rhythm of your breath. How it's very gentle, soft, and tender. And you notice the energy of your whole being becomes softer, quieter, still. And tender. And it is in this state that you become aware of your inner state of being, your inner self, as this conscient, living, thinking energy that resides at the center of the forehead. But you are this living energy whose intrinsic nature is peace, whose intrinsic nature is love. I can recognize this about myself. I'm always at ease and in comfort when I am quiet, when I am peaceful, when I am with people who are peaceful, when I'm in an environment that is peaceful. Because this is who I really am. I am peace, deep peace, rich peace, intrinsically peaceful. And it is in this state that I find rest and comfort and ease. This is who I truly am. When I take ownership of myself in this way, then love comes naturally. I don't seek love here, but I am love. I belong to everyone, and everyone belongs to me. It's as if this love cleans out all expectations. And it is here from this place of peace and love, a pure and a clean space, I reach out to the Supreme Being, my eternal parent, the one who is the ocean of unconditional love in a place of absolute peace. And it is in this place that I experience the love of the divine, the supreme. I remember being in the presence of this one before. My heart opens to absorb your love. I recognize you. I recognize your presence around me. You are just a thought away. I've been waiting for you, and I know that you have come to me. And I am lost in this experience of belonging to you, my eternal guide and my parent. I need do nothing. I need be nothing but just this. The intensity of this love cleans my soul, and it's as if I am reawakened. It is here that I feel a sense of new awakening, a new awareness, and a healing of my past to some extent now. And I know there'll be a lot that will be healed in the future. Om Shanti. Thank you. We've just got a few minutes left now. If anybody wants to ask anything or comment, I think Rishika is inviting you to ask in the chat box.
Yes. So that was a really nice meditation that I actually got my flatmate to do as well, and I think she really liked it. So I've certainly learned quite a lot during this talk, and I really like the vocabulary that you've used as well. And the first question that we have asked anonymously is, um, of course, healing is a gradual thing, but is there a technique to make it fast and not to prolong it? So, how can we be a little bit quicker about it?
Well, I mean, I think these are not things that we can rush and push and force, because this is what we're used to in our lives, pushing and forcing and manipulating and make things happen very quickly. It is a slow process, but its consistency is what you need. You know, sometimes people say to me, "Oh, I can't meditate." They do it one day, then they don't do it another day, then they do it one other day, then they don't do it for 2 days. And then they say, "Well, I do meditate, but I don't do it every day." But that doesn't work. It's like you have to do it on a regular basis every single day. You know, how many times a day do you eat? How do we really need to eat as many times as we do? We think about feeding our body so much, but how much do we think about feeding our minds with the right thoughts and our hearts with the right feelings, so that we can, there can be consistent. There's a buildup of energy that has to take place. And so it's consistency. You have to do it regularly. You have to do it every day. You have to be focused about it. Then you can begin to accelerate the process. But you can't force these things. You mustn't force these things. Enjoy the little bit of healing that's taking place on a daily basis. Don't look for big things when you're not even appreciating the little things that are happening all the time.
Mm, wow, I really like that. Appreciating the tiny healings that we have every single day. It might not mean much, but it's a bit better than it was, right?
It means a lot. Even that little means a lot. It's not that it not doesn't mean much. It does mean a lot, and it builds very very quickly. Actually, I could
Yeah,
say.
that's true. Thank you. And another question is, how do we not fall asleep surfing the meditation?
That's an excellent question. See, the thing is, we're very tired, not just physically tired, we're emotionally and spiritually and mentally, we've become very tired. And so, the moment we get relaxation, the moment we get an opportunity to truly let go, we fall asleep. But meditation is not a process by which I stop thinking or I stop connecting with myself. Meditation is an alert process, a process by which I can learn to use my mind, my thoughts in the right way. So don't think that you have to just stop thinking, but actually activate your mind, become activated, alert. And so use your thoughts. Meditation doesn't mean to stop thinking. The moment that I say, "Oh, I've stopped thinking," I'm thinking. Otherwise, how do I know I've stopped thinking? So you have to be thinking, but create one thought. Stop to observe that one thought. Stop to notice the energy of that thought. Stop to notice what the impact of that thought is having on your heart, on your body, on your mind, on your environment. Notice all of these things. We don't notice all these small things. Notice it, and notice it mentally. If you notice it, take a piece of paper and pen, write it down. Create the practice of alertness, because we're not used to being alert. Our senses are not used to being alert. But again, we keep doing it, that alertness comes. And that's all to it. You just have to keep doing it. You have to
Yeah.
keep watching your thoughts. One thought, what does it feel like? what it
Mm,
what is it doing to me? What is it doing to my heart? These small things.
wow. I think that was a really perfect answer. It also ties in with the first step that you talked about with meditation is reflection and being able to observe what's happening, not just stepping up back and leaving it, but being able to see from a kind of bird's eye point of view of
Yeah,
what's happening.
yeah.
And I really like the bit about you said to pace your thoughts. So that kind of links in with how in a marathon, if you run really fast in the beginning, you're going to have no more left for the end. So it's kind of the same with thoughts. If I'm constantly having that speed, that high like speed of thoughts, then I'm going to get obviously going to get tired. So when I pace and slow down, I feel like that was something very interesting to learn about.
Yes, it's absolutely the first step. Slowing down is absolutely the first step.
Yes. And I think we have time for one more question. So, of course, we had a little snippet of Raj Yoga meditation, which was really nice. And you did a really nice explaining of this. So, how long would you say it takes? Again, this is a kind of time question, which is relative, but how long would you say it would take to attain that intense meditative state that you were talking about, that kind of remembrance? How long did it take for you?
You know, when I first started, as I explained, it was instant. I didn't have to do anything for it. For the first 9 months, it was like I would sit and I'd be gone. So, but then as I said, you know, my own personal attention began when those experiences stopped, that came as magic. And I suppose my real work began then. And so it's not about how long. I think it's actually probably more, the question is how long, when I until I develop the sweetness for that taste, when how long before I develop the taste for that sweetness.
Hmm.
And the taste for the sweetness of meditation um, can be a day, a week, or a month. But once that taste has developed, make sure that you keep tasting it. Keep tasting it. It's like, you know, if you
Coming
like
back for
candy,
more.
yeah, keep going back for more. And then the taste, you know, sits in your tongue in such a way that you never want to stop doing it. Allow yourself to become addicted. You know, we all become so addicted to things very quickly, coffee, tea, and this and that, but become addicted to meditation.
Hmm.
And so I think it's not a question of time. For some it could be straight away, for some it might take a little bit longer, but go into the sweetness of that experience.
Wow. I really like that.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for a valuable insight into inner healing and meditation. I think all our viewers have learned a lot. And thank you to all the listeners that have joined us tonight. So on the website and on the Zoom link as well.